Welcome in to the PHNX Fantasy Sports Show presented by Underdog Fantasy. Woo-hoo! I'm Shane Diefenbach, joined by Shawn DePause. That was a really good howl. And Espo, how you feeling?
This is everybody's fantasy when I see the three of us sitting here.
Yeah, absolutely. True. I'm getting a beer right now as well. On a coaster. I appreciate that. Did you guys think the howl was good?
I thought it was spectacular.
Heard better, but I've certainly heard worse.
Yeah, I hit a level that I didn't think I was capable of reaching.
That's fair. It was a personal best, probably.
Yeah, definitely a personal best. Well, let's just get right into it, fellas. So, weird week 4. There were some games that I liked and some games that I didn't. We'll start with the hometown guys, Cardinals, Panthers. What is this team's identity? The Cardinals, obviously. We know what the Panthers' identity is. It's Baker Mayfield doesn't know how to throw the ball to Christian McCaffrey, but what is this Cardinals team doing? Who are they?
Their identity is Vance Joseph has a 15-year-old Honda that has 200,000 miles on it, and he's getting everything out of it he can. And Cliff Kingsbury's got a brand new Ferrari, and he doesn't know how to get it out of first gear. That's their identity right now.
Yeah, it seems like their identity is trying to win in spite of their head coach, which is sad. I don't know. I feel like that's really ultimately like the storyline for this team so far is that, I mean, it doesn't really matter who's playing. They haven't been put in much of a position to succeed offensively.
Yeah. From a fantasy perspective, is this one of those teams where you're kind of scared to start players just because you don't know what's happening?
Yes.
Depends on who it is.
Yeah.
Hollywood Brown, I'm not afraid to start. He's got the 8th most receiving yards in the league, couple of touchdowns. Like I trust Hollywood Brown. Everybody else, you don't know. It's a mixed bag. You have no clue what you're going to get. I played Greg Dortch in week 4 because I had a wide receiver injury. And I thought, hey, he's been a constant, and he didn't hardly played. I mean, Rondale Moore got all his snaps for those those wide receiver bubble screens that they try to get cutesy with Rondale. But like If it isn't Hollywood, I'm not playing them right now.
Yeah, that's probably the right way to approach this team. This could be a turning point in the season. Obviously, these teams, the Cliffs teams, love to start hot, and they haven't done so. So hopefully, maybe they get away from that and they just play like a normal football team.
Oh.
What?
Well, I said finish hot.
Oh well, that's a lot to ask. All right, we'll get on to the next game that I actually enjoyed watching. The Bills and Ravens. Expecting probably a little bit more fireworks, but from a pure fantasy football perspective, these are probably two of the most fun teams to have players on, unless you're a Devin Duvernay owner, which why? But could be a 14-man league. What'd you guys think of this game?
Yeah, I mean, from a fantasy perspective, like Mark Andrews was disappointing, which is sad because he's the only tight end, like one of 2 tight ends that you can really count on in fantasy. But I mean, the game was fun. I mean, the second half was really fun for me. On the offensive side, on the Bills side at least, I think my biggest fears from a fantasy perspective from the beginning of the season with Gabe Davis are starting to be clear that he's not a reliable fantasy guy. But it's Josh Allen is him from a fantasy perspective. So
the biggest question from this game. The Ravens obviously went for it on 4th down inside of the red zone late in the game. Instead of going up by 3, they wanted to get 7. Is that the right call against the Bills and Josh Allen?
Yes. Yeah. The Bills' offense is so good, and they weren't stopping the Bills in the second half, so I don't blame them. I think the play call was bad.
I think for fantasy that sucks.
Yeah.
Unless you have Justin Tucker.
Yeah. I think the play call was bad, but the decision to go for it on 4th, I think, was good.
I heard a lot of people saying because they see the final score and then they see what happened. They're like, the Bills would have scored a touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. The only reason they didn't is because they purposely stopped themselves from scoring a touchdown. So,
is it frustrating? I've never had him in a fantasy league, but it always strikes me as frustrating to have Lamar Jackson.
Oh no,
it's so bust.
No, because quarterbacks are stupid. I will never reach for a quarterback unless I'm getting a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen or a Pat Mahomes. Those are the only 3 quarterbacks I'll ever reach for. And like in our fantasy league, didn't take a quarterback until like round 10.
I mean, I took Jalen Hurts late. And
I took Kirk Cousins in like round 10 or something.
I'm Josh Allen early.
Yeah. So you get X factors like that, sure, but Lamar, yes, boom or bust, but even when he busts, he's only going to get he's still going to get you 15 points because of the rushing, and that's all you really need from a quarterbacking perspective. Yeah, this game was really fun, and the Ravens have another really fun matchup with the Bengals coming up this week. Definitely going to be a lot of points in that game. Super excited to watch that. Speaking of a lot of points, my God, the Seahawks and Lions game. Absolute fireworks. Shootout till the end. Geno Smith, QB1. Anybody?
Him.
What is wrong with the Detroit Lions defense, and why should you start literally everybody, including a fifth-string wide receiver, against them?
They're the Detroit Lions. What's wrong with them?
I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with them. They're the Detroit Lions, and they're not a good football team. Their offense has been playing out of their mind, and that's the only reason they've been in games. Jared Goff, particularly, which is a decent replacement on fantasy if you're like me and your options are Tua and Russell Wilson,
whoever the Lions are playing quarterback.
Yeah. Or Jared Goff, because he's been playing pretty well.
Their defense and offense are very quick on and off the field because they either get scored on or score really fast or go 3 and out. There's no in between.
I like the Lions defense because they help me. Rashad Penny's on my roster at 37 points against Johnny. I can't win a damn fantasy league game.
He is tragic.
Yeah. Winners from this week, though, as far as this game is going, TJ Hawkinson owners, yours truly. My guy went stupid. And that was it was nice if you you're in a situation where you're not used to getting much out of your tight end because it is TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah.
And then he gives you like 35.
He was tight end 3, I think, in 2020. That was a weird year.
Yeah.
He was okay last year, but he was otherworldly in 2020. Also, chat, we will get to your questions by the end of the show, so make sure if you have them, drop them in the chat. We'll save them and answer them at the very end. Another weird game, Giants and Bears. The Giants are 3-1. Is it time to trust anybody on that offense?
Brian Dable.
From
St.
a
Francis
fantasy
high school grad.
From fantasy. KT owners, is it over now, Kadarius Toney? Are we just because of the inability to get on the field? Are we done with Kadarius Toney?
I'm done with anybody that's not named Saquon Barkley in the offense, which you probably should have been before the season. Like I think that was every year there's those teams that I stay away from, and with the exception of Saquon, the Giants were them. Like I want nothing to do with the Giants wide receiver or a tight end or a quarterback. Like they're not a very good team, despite what I guess their record says at this point.
Could you trust it? I mean, quarterback plays everything.
Hey, Daniel S. Dimes is elite.
Yeah. Your definition of elite is
Joe Flacco, elite.
Yeah, like I don't trust anything on the Giants, nor do I trust anything offensively on the Bears. Like there's just neither of these teams. You got nothing going other than Saquon.
Cooper Kupp has, I believe, 10 more receptions than Justin Fields does have completions, which is the most unbelievable thing I've ever heard. All right, going into last night, it's already Thursday. Monday night's game. Wow. Monday night's game. Niners dominate McVay once again. And your boy made some scratch on the Underdog Fantasy app. Why don't we pull up my Shane's money and see about this? 5-pick underdog, high or lower. Andy Dalton under 8.5 rushing yards. Chris Olave over fantasy points, scored a touchdown. Dameon Pierce over 10.5 or 10 whatever fantasy points. Kareem Hunt higher than 66 rushing receiving yards, which I sweated until the last drive of that game. And then the one that was never in doubt, Cam Akers under 42.5 rushing yards. If the Rams are ever playing a team with a good pass rush, you take the lower on Cam Akers on Underdog because that man can't block, and McVay hates playing him. $20 to win 400, guys.
I love it. I would. You know how sick I would have been if I would have woken up on Sunday with that London game and found out that Andy Dalton's rushing yards had ruined a.
Luckily, you know what's even more sick? I was awake driving to the office, listening to it on radio on my phone.
and Andy Dalton gets outside of the pocket and he runs and he busts 15-yard run for Andy Dalton.
No,
and I've lost.
My cheeks were clenching on the 101 because I would hear Andy Dalton outside the pocket. I'm like, no, and then it's like incomplete.
And throws it 10 yards out of bounds.
Mustache Cash Club. Yes, it was.
I'm disappointed you didn't put more on it, though.
Yeah, well, you see, I dabble here and there. There's a lot of different bet slips that I don't show the public, so why don't we just keep that where it is for now?
I love the pick 'em on Underdog, though. That's some of the most fun I've had in this space. I was pretty much of a novice until I came onto PHNX, and I love the pick 'em. And I had one of those for baseball like that, and it's thrilling. Like
Yeah.
you don't care about half these games until you got a guy that you want to throw fewer pitches than 96 or can't have 14 rushing yards or whatever the case is. It makes it interesting.
Postseason baseball is here too.
Yep. Fired up. Mariners tomorrow.
Blue Jays, let's go.
Oh my God. All right, let's get into our winners. And Mina Kimes does this on her podcast. She calls it winners and woofs. And I thought it would be perfect for the Underdog Fantasy Show.
Hey,
who's your winner for NFL Week 4? Could be a player, could be a team. Espo, we'll start with you. Who's your winner?
Kansas City's offense. I mean, I'm an owner of Patrick Mahomes in one league. Of Travis Kelce in another. I mean, that offense just hit on all cylinders, and if you owned any of their main guys on there, you got points this past week.
Yeah, similar train, but I'm going the Lions offense. Like I mentioned, TJ Hawkinson went crazy. I mean, they had the number 1 tight end in fantasy last week, the number 1 quarterback in fantasy last week. They had the 6th best running back in fantasy last week. Like their offense went crazy, and their offense kind of has to go crazy to keep them in games because their defense is so bad. So I really like what I've seen out of their offense. Jared Goff, decent fantasy option at quarterback. Not great, but decent.
Yeah, he is decent. You know who's not decent? Matt Stafford and that offense. I don't really know what's figured out, but that ties in with my winner, and that is not only just the Niners defense, but Talanoa Hufanga. Mr. Troy Polamalu reincarnated. He trains with Troy Polamalu, a safety that they expected to get some run but not be this good. Obviously had the pick 6 on Matt Stafford on Monday night, and he's just been electric, lights out on this defense. So the Niners defense was supposed to be good to start the year, but you're getting production from the pass rush. Fred Warner looks great. They can't catch a ball to save their life. Oh my God, I was waiting for my Matt Stafford over interception the entire time on another underdog pick. But they finally got one near the end, and it was Talanoa Hufanga, who hard to pronounce, but my God, is he lights out. He's been awesome. So Niners defense is my winner from this week. Shawn, we'll start with you. Who's your woof? Who's your loser?
It's Javonte Williams, owners, not him. He can't help what he did, but I mean, like
loser, you tore your ACL.
Yeah, I mean, the people that owned him, he had pretty high stock coming into the draft this year, or into fantasy drafts this year. And that's just if you lose a guy that's probably projecting to be your RB1, you're in a tough spot. I
got lucky. I was so high on him coming into the year, but he always kept getting drafted before I could grab him. So no, I'll have him on any of my teams.
So that's tough.
The woof for me is if you own anybody other than Michael Badgley on the Bears offense.
Yeah.
What do you do? Just stop playing fantasy. It's not worth it. You're just punishing yourself to have to watch.
Yeah, Darnell Mooney's truthers are clenching their fists right now.
I feel like people wanted Justin Fields to be, as a fantasy quarterback, what Jalen Hurts has become, and that offense has not done that.
No, not at all. My woof is sad. It's Mr. Tom Brady. And this is just pure fantasy perspective, not fantasy, because we're not going to talk about what his fantasy is right now.
He's single now.
He might be living his fantasy because he hates his damn kids so much. Oh, come on. We've never heard that before.
But he's also kissing him on the lips, so.
There we go. All right, Tom Brady, what's your fantasy? It's not to be playing that well from a fantasy perspective. Look, this offense is good. It should be better. Chris Godwin should be targeted more. I think he will, and that's one of my buy low options right now. But they just really can't really figure it out on defense, which is sad for Tom Brady. And it's really sad, compounded on everything. You know, him coming back to football just to play what looks like another season that's probably going to fall short of a Super Bowl. But we will see. For now, he is a woof for me.
Could the Jets quarterback finally get one over on Tom Brady?
Stop it.
Could Zach Wilson wind up with Giselle?
Stop it.
No? All right.
Do you think the Buccaneers retire Tom Brady's number?
No.
Really? I think they do.
He did win him a bowl.
So I the reason I ask is because in my one of my Madden franchises, second year he leaves. Jacoby Brissett is playing for the Buccaneers, wearing number 12, and I cannot tell you how wrong that was. So I just can't imagine another quarterback in a Buccaneers jersey wearing number 12. And he won the Super Bowl, and he's also the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah. All right. Well, we talked about how to win some money on Underdog. Let's talk about what we like to help you win some money this weekend, and maybe even tonight. I'll start with myself. My favorite pick tonight I have one for the weekend as well, but just for tonight, you can get Matt Ryan and his rushing yard total at 2.5. And I'm taking the higher on that. He's scrambling out of the pocket at least one time tonight. Bradley Chubb in this defense will sell out. Maybe even a QB sneak that somehow goes 3 yards. I don't know. I'm taking Matt Ryan's higher on rushing yards at 2.5. But that's just for tonight. Shawn, what is your favorite pick tonight?
Mo Alley Cox under 2.5, lower than 20.5 receiving yards.
What?
Listen, he went crazy last week. But otherwise,
you're taking his lower?
Yes. Otherwise,
I think he's the only good part about this offense right now.
He's played three games. 2 of them, he had 1 reception, each for 9 yards. I think it's a little inflated because of the game that he had last week, so I'm taking the lower on it.
Okay.
I'm looking at Matt Ryan too, but it's that 0.5 interceptions that's sitting there. I want to hammer the higher on that.
Yep, took that on the bet show today.
Also, higher than 38.5 rushing yards for Phillip Revenge Game Lindsay. I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but I like the storyline.
Interesting. Yeah, exactly. Pittman will have PS2 on him. That's what I was saying.
That's a good point.
It's one of my favorite picks this week is Mo Alley Cox higher.
Scratch the Mo Alley Cox.
Don't let us talk you out of it.
I didn't think about that, though. I didn't think about the Scratch your Mo Alley Cox.
Settle on the couch, grab a 4 peaks.
And scratch your Mo Alley Cox.
We already said that.
So I'm focusing on the Phillip Lindsay rushing yards higher than 38.5. Revenge game for Phillip Lindsay.
Go ahead.
Well, the Russell Wilson 13.5 rushing yards. Lower.
Oh yeah, I said this on the bet show today. It's not just a flak jacket. He does look a little bit chunky. I'm taking the lower on that as well.
Little known fact: I'm wearing 4 flak
jackets. Yeah. You guys don't need to have one, but this show was just glaring at me this week. This also sounds like something that would be wrong with your body if you went to a doctor, that they would tell you to check it out. Scleronic.
Yes.
I got a bad case of scleronic.
I have chronic scleronic, and I can't come today.
That's a great fantasy.
Yeah. Chronic scleronic.
Oh, yes. Bad band name, or good band name.
Weird band name. Yeah. I'm taking Ben Skowronek's over on receiving yards at 27.5. They use him as a tight end. They use him as a fullback. They use him as a wideout. But they also overutilize Cooper Kupp, and Matt Stafford just seems to hate Allen Robinson. I'm taking his higher, 27.5 on Underdog Fantasy. You can get that right now. Combine some legs, win some money.
Yeah.
You guys have any more?
Josh Allen over 2.5 touchdowns. Because it's just touchdowns total.
Oh, total touchdowns?
Yeah.
Love it.
They're going to blow out Pittsburgh, I think. And I think it's going to be in large part because Josh Allen does Josh Allen things. Probably going to stiff arm somebody into Philadelphia. I actually don't know if the game's in Pittsburgh or Buffalo, but they're close. So either way, we'll go to
David, what'd you call the burrito that was named after me again?
Oh, the DP 5-layer.
Yeah, that's what my 5 pick underdog picks are called. They're DP 5 layers, and you can get DP 5 layers whatever you want.
You get 5 layers of the DP.
Just look for your favorite or least favorite. Look for your favorite or least favorite players, like maybe Nyheim Hines, because that offensive line sucks. Pick between 2 or 5 players for your pick'em entry, and whether or not you think they'll end up higher or lower than the stat in this week's game. Get all your picks right. You're going up to 20 times of your money in a single night. So if you have a DP5 layer out, that's 20 times your money. And it's the best way to have fun and spice up the football season. We've given our experiences on how much money you can win by just hitting 5 of these picks, but what makes this so much more fun than other things out there?
Well, Shane, first, do I have to take all 5 layers? Can I take 3 or 4? Or is it all 5 that I have to take?
You see, I don't know. I don't know where to go with this.
There's customizations. You can take less than...
Yeah. You can go to the dollar menu.
Look,
and get the triple stack.
I do love that. What I love is the multiplier when you go 5 layers deep, right? You get that 20%. It's a fun way to just get in on the action like that.
Yeah.
It makes
5 layers deep with your Mo Alley Cox,
brother,
and get that
We're
action.
Just digging with it in the middle of an ad read. Hope you like it. This show's got off the rails so far today. Oh, all right. Well, we're going to be cooking up some stuff live on the show later. We're going to be doing a draft for the game tonight. But before we get there, I do just have to remind you guys, promo code PHNX, Underdog Fantasy. That's Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code PHNX. Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Search in the App Store, click at the link in the show notes, and remember, promo code PHNX. That's Underdog Fantasy. Get in on the action today. Now it's time for everybody's favorite segment, buy or sell. Guys, we got another slate of people, and we got another returning guy, which we'll get to later. But first, we'll go with Kyler Murray. And this is taken very literally. Obviously, you're not going to drop him, but his stock is probably kind of low right now. Are you buying or selling? Are you going to try to buy him low, or you maybe bench him this week?
This week only.
No, not this week only.
I'm buying. Okay. I mean, look, they found a little bit of rhythm in the second half. On the horizon, you've got D-Hop coming back, which is going to make the whole offense more dynamic because you're not going to see double teams for Hollywood Brown. And you saw K1 run a little bit last week. I'm buying Kyler Murray in any of my fantasy leagues right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to. I mean, when you got a guy that can do stuff with his legs at the quarterback position, like, there's always a reason to buy, I think, in fantasy, especially as long as your quarterback is not Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, or Lamar Jackson, or maybe Jalen Hurts. He's one of those guys where it's like
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, Jared Goff. If you can get him, then it's probably worth it. Get those extra points. At the very least, he's consistent, right? Like, I think his lowest fantasy total is like 18 or something like that. Like, he doesn't really bust very often. Yeah. I would buy.
He's the kind of guy that if you can convince somebody in your league, if you don't play with a lot of Arizona people, and you can try to get him on a deal trade, totally go for it.
All right, next one. This might be a surprise to you guys. Are we buying or selling Jonathan Taylor? Is it time to sell?
It might be time to sell.
Or are you going to try to buy him at a low price?
I'm selling anything with the Colts.
Yeah.
I don't want anything with the Colts if I can avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that you've said a lot. Like, when you're the best running back in the league, you don't repeat that very often. So him being the first overall pick in a lot of drafts is tough. But yeah, I think I got to sell too, just because it's not going to get better. I don't think.
If you can convince one of the dummies that's in your league to take him off your hands for a premium, like what you would have gotten for him if he was still producing at this level, I would do that now. If you can sell him by saying this was the number one pick in fantasy, I'll give you a deal on him. I probably would right now, just because you guys remember when Quentin Nelson was the best damn guard in the NFL. People still think he's good. He's not.
That line is terrible.
The line I think ranks 31st in average yards, like one run blocking. Like, they are terrible.
Yep.
And Ryan Kelly, he's supposed to be one of the best centers, if not the best center in the NFL. He's been bad. This offensive line's in shambles. That's why I'm low on Nyheim Hines again tonight. Like, people think it might be a running back. Jonathan Taylor's just not that type of guy that will break a big run because he's him. He will hit a hole and he's gone, but he's not like Derrick Henry where if one guy gets through, he's breaking that tackle and going.
Well, and how many opportunities are you really going to get with Matt Ryan as your quarterback? You're not keeping a defense honest with Matt Ryan as your quarterback right now.
Jonathan Taylor fantasy owners need to decide this week, I think, because if he busts, and I know he's out tonight, but if you keep him through this week and next week, that's another thing. You can sell him on the injury part. I'll give him to you for cheap because he's out this week. We'll see. It's good to have dummies in your fantasy league. Next one, Sean's player, Mike Thomas. Buying or selling, guys?
Again, I mean, Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston.
Do not besmirch the name of Jameis Winston.
He's besmirched it himself plenty. All right? Like, I don't want to buy wide receivers that I don't know that I can trust the guy throwing it to him.
I'm gonna buy mostly because I have already bought. But also, like, when Jameis Winston is your quarterback, things can happen.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton. Yeah, but also,
you know how players have phrases like that are on their like clothing brand?
Yeah.
Like they have mottos.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston should be things can happen.
Things can happen. Eat that W.
Yeah. It's a good one.
And like Aaron brings up Olave, like I think the fact that he actually has like
a guy to take pressure off him.
And Kamara hasn't really been him, so it's like he's the best player on that offense.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to buy still.
Yeah. I just feel like this is a classic case of this guy was so good and we haven't seen him in action for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And everyone Just is still reaching for that, but I don't think it's coming back. He's too touchdown dependent now. Not as many receptions. He was a great PPR guy. Not really so much anymore. So I'm probably going to sell on him. But if you have him on your fantasy team, I would probably keep him because you're not getting much
and Mike
for
are
him.
scoring 3 touchdowns this weekend.
Wouldn't hate it. All right, we'll move on to another player that's playing tonight. One Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton been pretty good. But the only reason why I bring him up is because I did sell him. I already traded him in week 3, I believe.
Yeah, well, I got you beat. I cut him in the preseason on accident.
Oh, yeah, that did happen. Yeah, Espo did cut him, and I picked him up in our league, and I still have him on my bench. But I'll pull up my fantasy league from this league where I traded him in. First, you guys answer. Are you buying or selling Courtland Sutton?
I'm buying. I mean, if you're getting a guy that's consistently giving you 15 points as a receiver, that's a win. If you can get him on the waiver wire in the preseason, for example, I feel like he has to do it.
I'm buying him. I know, which is ironic, but I'm buying him because at some point I think this offense clicks with Russ. I don't think that Russell Wilson just kind of fell off a cliff here. I think it's trying to figure out how to make the offense work with him, and at some point that clicks.
As a closeted Seahawks fan, there were some things that I've seen with Russell Wilson. The Seahawks offense was damn near unwatchable for 2 years. It was a lot of 3 and outs and then, a crazy drive that came out of nowhere and a Russell Wilson deep ball. And you're like, he's magic. He's fantastic. I've seen a lot of the same stuff this year. It's just the case of a quarterback coming in and saying, this is how we do things. I think they'll get it figured out. I don't think the Broncos are dead, but I'm selling just for this reason. And it's also because if you have wide receivers like this and you can kind of sacrifice some return and get a guy like I got, is what I would do. So my running backs in this league are Saquon Barkley and Dameon Pierce. Those are my running back 1 and running back 2. My wide receivers in this league are Cooper Kupp, Jalen Waddle, Adam Thielen, Drake London, Curtis Samuel, and then Courtland Sutton.
Damn.
12-man league. I went very wide receiver heavy.
Damn.
Yeah. So I had Courtland Sutton on the bench, and I'm like, I'm never going to start. Oh, and Devontae Smith, who's in my flex right now. I was like, I'm never going to start him. So I traded 1 for 1, which I wouldn't do this if you need wide receiver depth. Traded 1 for 1, Courtland Sutton for Ezekiel Elliott. Because I need a next running back.
I like that.
I mean, in your situation, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Courtland Sutton, you will be missed. But you're still on my PHNX fantasy team, who I am 4-0 in, by the way.
Big game this week against David.
3-1 and tied with me.
Nope.
Under a half a point.
Well,
and I had that happen to me again this week.
Tell your team to play harder. All right, we'll go to a tight end, 2 tight ends for these last 2. Darren Waller. Are we buying or selling? I'm getting a little worried about this guy.
Sell.
This
is another offense I just don't. Josh McDaniels don't really like him.
Yeah.
Derek Carr is not him. I mean, they've just not really been able to get production out of any of their stars, really. I just not a fan of anything in this offense right now.
Yeah.
I hate Derek Carr because of our Madden league mostly. But I don't trust him.
This is tough for me because we'll go on to our next player and I'll answer both of them. Kyle Pitts. He's back for the 3rd time on buy or sell. So this is why I did this. In one of my leagues, I have Kyle Pitts at my tight end and Darren Waller at my flex. I thought I was being cute. I'm 3-1 in that league. My team is okay. It's pretty good. But I don't know where to go from here because I don't know. Like, I'm trying to finesse somebody, but I don't really need wide receiver depth. I have a guy that can slot in, but I'm still holding on for Darren Waller. So I'm going to buy both of them. And I'll tell you why. I am dying on this hill. Kyle Pitts, I don't care if it comes in week. Actually, that would suck. I don't care if it comes in week 12. I think he's going to find it. He's going to start dominating. This team is just trying to win games. Soon they will try to develop their talent and get the ball to Kyle Pitts more. Still runs a lot of routes. Still open on a lot of routes. Just not getting the ball. I like his chances. Kyle Pitts, are you guys done?
I'm going to give it 1 more week. 1 more week for Kyle Pitts. It's tough because this is going to be a situation where I feel like it's the end of the season and he's still sitting in your bench and you're like, why did I think he was going to get it going? He gave me no reason to. But I'm gonna give him 1 more week.
I'm gonna stay on Pitts Island. I'm a guy who likes.
We're all just hanging out, being delusional.
Yeah, I like to find these guys that I can, for no good reason, just hang on to. And Kyle's the kind of guy to me that irrationally I go, it'll happen.
I think it will.
The thing is if I trade Kyle Pitts, he puts up 20 points.
Well, it's not irrational though, because the stats of a routes run back it up. Like he just needs that game. He had a very good game against Seattle. No touchdowns, but he had a very good game. Got targeted, I believe, 7 times. More of those targets will come. 8 times. Yeah. I'm confident in him. That was buy or sell. And now it's time for a new segment, something I'm very, very excited to do. We're going to be showcasing the Underdog app, Underdog Fantasy live on the show right now in the War Room. So, gentlemen, get ready. We're going to draft. Excuse me while I stand up and go get my phone ready. Why don't you guys keep the people entertained?
We're going to draft. I love this, that we figured out the technology on how to do this live. This was all Shane, too. So if it fails miserably, it's on It is Shane.
On Shane. Yeah, I mean, this is part of what's cool about the Underdog Fantasy app, right? Like, you get to, I mean, there's other apps where you can do daily fantasy, and then obviously you have your fantasy leagues, but I have never been in a league where it's like Thursday night football kicks off in 30 minutes. Like, grab 2 of your friends and get together and draft real quick. And you win money on it. Like, you use the same money that you've deposited into the app already that you'd used for pick'ems, and you could use it towards something like this. It's very cool.
Yeah, I want to start doing this on the Sun show too. You know, like, I think it'll be a lot of fun to do these kind of things. I love them so far. So
yeah. So here we are. Hello. This is to my right. Yes, to my right, to your guys' left. This is the app.
Left side of the screen.
If you haven't used it yet, please do. It's fantastic. Our draft is starting soon. Super easy to set up. I did that literally in 20 seconds. You just you click on which draft you want to do, create private draft, and text it to your friends. My friends in this case are Shawn and Espo. We're all in a draft together. Who has the first pick?
I do.
Snake style draft, all for players tonight. You get 4 flex players. We'll be doing this right now, live. It's going to be very fun, and you guys can scrutinize us for making bad picks or praise us. And you guys can let us know in the comments who you guys think is going to win tonight. I believe it's half PPR, but everything else is standard.
I love the text function too, because it's not a notification you're trying to get by.
No,
it's like, Shane sent this to me. I'm going to click
and you just click on the link and it's there.
I mean, I'm going to let you in a secret. I'm drafting Russell Wilson first overall. I feel like I have to. I mean, he's the only good quarterback in this game, and the quarterback's going to give you the most points most likely. So I'm going Russell Wilson as soon as it starts. Okay, it's game time.
Here we go. So, it's super easy to use. This is my phone, so you can see my username and
Russell
such.
Wilson.
Russell Wilson goes first. Espo, who are you taking?
I feel like I have to do this. I'm going to take Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
I need to make up for previous.
Give me Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, I like that.
And then I get a second pick because it's Snake. This is tough. I guess I'll take Matt. No, I don't want to take Matt Ryan. Give me Melvin Gordon.
Okay.
I think Melvin Gordon finds the end zone tonight.
Oh, do I take Pittman? You know what? I'm going to take Matt Ryan. There's no logical reason, but I'm going to do it.
Okay. I mean, I guess I got to take Pittman here, number 1 receiver. And then I'm doing it. I'm scratching my Mo Alley Cox.
Is this 5 layers deep?
Yeah.
Oh my God, guys. The reason why I love these so much is because like it's so stimulating. It's automatic. Like you draft your team and you watch your team you drafted, and then if you hate it, you're done with it.
Yeah.
You can't do that in normal fantasy football. If
you can. You can just stop playing.
Shoot. I don't think Latavius Murray is going to be active tonight. Give me Alec Pierce. And let me double up on the running backs for Denver. Give me Mike Boone as well. I got both running backs.
I was thinking you were going to draft Brandon McManus.
Yeah, I'm going to take Phillip Lindsay. Give me Phillip Lindsay here.
All right, final pick of the thing. You know what? Let's just get fun with it. I'm getting Brandon McManus.
I love it.
Let's see what happens. This seems like a game where you could get like 15 field goals.
Yeah.
So I'm going kicker.
You might win on that. And there is the projected point total. Who's projected to win?
Espo is with 48.9. You're second with 41.5, and I have 40.8. So Espo is projected to beat us.
I badly need to make up for the last time we did this, and I think I finished like 40 points off the pace.
That was the War Room. We'll be doing that every Thursday for the Thursday night game. Download it, guys. It's so fun. It's super easy to use. Really user friendly, and you get your winnings immediately. It's a really good time. You can see it in the app, and then you can go put your winnings on another pick'em. Yeah. It's fantastic, or you can withdraw it. But use the Underdog Fantasy app. It's fantastic. And as I said, promo code PHNX gets you up to $100. They'll double your first deposit.
Yeah,
so
get that dog in you.
Yeah. Woo, woo, woo. All right. Do we have any questions in the chat before we get out of here?
Yeah. Why are we barking?
Only one question today. Comes from Nick Popich. saying, is this a championship winning team? 10-man PPR 4-0 right now. Lamar, McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, Jamar Chase, CeeDee, Jesus Lord, CeeDee Lamb, Kelsey, Godwin, yes, I'm done reading, and Rashad White, even though you spelled his name wrong. Fantastic. I don't know why Jameson Williams, is he, I guess you can keep him, is he supposed to come back? And there's no timetable, I don't think, on his return yet. But it would be nice if he came back in the playoffs.
Yeah, probably.
10-man leagues are nuts.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so much talent available, but this is a good team.
The only problem you run into this team is if the running backs don't stay healthy, I feel like, especially CMC. But otherwise, you're in pretty good shape there. And I guess Godwin also has injury problems.
Brian in the chat asked us who won our fantasy league last year. We didn't have one last year. We did exist.
Oh, well, but not at the beginning of football?
Yeah, we were. That was first weekend.
I didn't exist.
We were a little busy at the beginning of the football season last year.
All right, I'll give you guys 2 more minutes to ask your fantasy questions in the chat before we sign off. Guys, most excited thing, or thing you're most excited for in tonight's game, and you can't say nothing because that would be my answer.
For it to end.
I guess I was going to make another Mo Alley Cox joke, but I wasn't sure how I was going to fit it in there. I mean, I kind of...
Wait, you didn't mean to do that?
No, I did not. I did not. I should have taken the credit for it, but...
Wow.
I kind of want to see the Philip Lindsay revenge game. To see him be relevant again would be pretty fun.
Oh, yeah, Hunter asked a question. Or Hunt Star. I always call him Hunter on accident. Josh Hunt. I see Hunt Star. It turns into Hunster. Hunter. I'm sorry.
One thing I legitimately excited about is actually paying attention to the guys we drafted, though. I wasn't joking. In a game that seems like it could be pretty boring tonight, this makes it interesting. So.
All right. Josh Hunt asked, what's a ludicrous fantasy football strategy you've always been curious to try but could never risk using? I always wanted to do everybody on the same team. Yeah,
to draft an all Bills team would be pretty dope. I don't know if I have one, to be honest. It's not something I've really ever thought of doing, but like just drafting the best of it, like best available, so like basically auto drafting, I guess, which never goes well for me. So never mind.
I thought about this for years and years and years, and finally did it last year. I didn't draft a defense or a kicker, and then I let the preseason play out to see how my roster shook out, and then I just rotated my defense and kicker every week.
Yeah, I always
waiver wire.
I always do defense.
Did that with tight end too. Like I just started rotating.
I know that Leah said that one of her friends in fantasy hockey, who's not really into hockey, sometimes either drafts all the most attractive players or least attractive, and has never finished last.
Yeah,
which is an accomplishment. So
that's tough to determine who's the ugliest guy in hockey.
Hey,
there's a lot of guys without teeth.
I know.
Yeah,
mullets. Like, this is not the best looking league in the world.
That's a very good point.
Good question, Josh. I like that question. Brian in the chat, or Aaron first. Aaron asked for next year, would you go zero RB strategy because this year is disappointed? Yes. I mean, always do this.
Saquon's kind of carrying my team. Saquon and Nick Chubb.
Saquon is RB1.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe
that's the only option.
Like, if I would go receiver over running back in the first round.
Aaron Jones,
but Nick Chubb, no, he's RB2. Miles Sanders has been good for me too.
This is the least amount of points an RB1 has had since 1997 through 4 weeks.
Respect.
It's crazy how much that shifted though, because for years it was draft the running backs, right? Like draft the best guys. Now it's
such a pass heavy league. I'm always a wide receiver first. You know, I talk about that meme with like when you go wide receiver heavy in the first round, and then you see your starting running back and it's Miles Sanders going wow coming out of the gates. Yeah, that's not very fun. But if you can grab a sleeper like Dameon Pierce, who I grabbed this year, and maybe just get a couple. As long as you have 2 starters as your running backs, I think you'll be okay. Yeah. Oh, Breece Hall. If you can grab him right now for the low, do it. That is my favorite pickup of this week. If you need a running back for Javonte Williams, go get Breece Hall.
I think I have Breece Hall in one of my leagues.
Start him. Brian asking another running back question. Khalil Herbert, worth it? No. Bears, bad. Next. Terrible.
The Bears.
He also said in week 3, I played 4 Jets players and actually won. Congratulations. Was that was the Joe Flacco weird game?
I do have Breece Hall on my bench in a league.
Put him
over Leonard Fournette and Miles Sanders.
We'll talk later.
Okay.
Yeah, Breece Hall. Go get Breece Hall. And on that note, anything else?
I'm impressed anybody won with 4 Jets players. The Jets couldn't win with 4 Jets players
Well,
for a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
Until this year. I mean, but for a while they couldn't. So.
Yeah. No, I don't have anything else.
Cool. You can follow me on Twitter at Shane D. Follow Shawn on Twitter at Shawn_DePaul. Follow Espo on Twitter at Espo. Follow the show and follow PHNX_sports across all socials, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We're here every Thursday at 3 p.m. answering your fantasy football questions. Thank you to Underdog for the show and for the great app. And we'll see you guys next week. Peace.